But my beats, they are hard.
All right. Hey, we made it. Hey, good evening, folks. Welcome to another live episode of the BCSN SportsWrap, the longest running HBCU sports talk show on the interwebs. Bryan and A.D Drew here. Finally made it home to our home studios. We're a little battered and beaten and worn, but and a little bit late, but we made it. Better late than never, Drew.
Yeah. I don't think people understand what we go through to make sure that we bring you guys shows. You know, when you looked at Dr. Cavill's show this morning, none of us were actually in our home studios. We were all on the road somewhere. Dr. Cavill was at the airport. The rest of us were in hotels somewhere. And then now we rush home, traffic jams and everything else that we had to deal with, and we both made it here, bro.
Yeah, we did. Hopefully, you guys got a chance to catch us a little bit this morning as we joined the sports lab and Doc and Mike and Charles, and so we'll try to give our spin on the recap as we were driving and just scouring just putting our thoughts together. We say hello to everybody. Thank you all for joining us, even though we were 30 minutes behind our normal time. We appreciate you jumping in when you did. It's much appreciated. So, all right, coming up at the top of hour 2, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Sports Radio Network is going to join the show. And, Charles and I have the distinction of being in a very unfamiliar place as it relates to our program and our teams. And we will talk about that. And I kind of teased it earlier, Drew, as much as obviously we're going to give a little moment and hear some talk about the top games, top teams from the, I think sometimes what can be more interesting is talking about. I'll put it like this: I heard a sports talk host who I listen to always talk about. Sometimes when there's a contest in a game, the best story is always out of the losing locker room. That's where the best story is. So it goes to say, like right now, maybe the best stories happening or the things that are worth talking about are what's coming out of the teams that aren't losing or aren't winning, rather. The teams that are losing, the teams that many people expected to be in contention. We're seeing on the college landscape a number of college coaches that have been winning getting fired. I mean, today the news dropped. James Franklin of Penn State got fired. You've seen the coach at Oklahoma State who'd been there winning, probably one of their winningest coaches. He stepped down. They got head coaching. I want to see, there's like 6 or 7 P4, Power 4 coaches who are out of their positions. They're gone. We haven't seen that happen yet in the HBCU levels. And if you read the tea leaves, my man Zach, Zach always loves to bring up some great talking points. I'm reading this tweet from Zach this afternoon. Zach McKinnell, of course, Blue Bloods. FCS Football Central. Shout out to Zach. I know he's in the chat room. Alcorn State, Southern, and Florida A&M have a combined 3-14 overall record, 1-14 versus Division I opponents after week 7.
And that one is Southern's victory.
Yes, and he says, I have a feeling there are going to be some major coaching changes in the SWAC over the next few months. Now,
Bryan, can I cut you off?
Yes, quick. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick over under 1.5 coaching changes before the.
See this.
Let's see. Do we want to say this before the end of the regular season?
I love. See, this is why we think alike. This is because that's exactly what I kind of tweeted out in reply to him. Well, let's look at it like this. You set the line at 1.5. 1.5, right? So that means you're either saying 2 or more or 1 if you go under. Now, what I find interesting is we're in year 2 of 2 of those coaches. Florida A&M and Southern's head coaches are in year 2 of their contract. I don't know how many years. I think it might be year 2 under Coach Cedric Thomas as well. So all 3 of those coaches are in year 2, if I'm not mistaken, of at least a 3-year deal.
Right, because you got to think about it. Fred McNair has been an assistant at Southern for 2 years. Because 2 years ago, we thought he was going to get the Texas Southern job, which Bubba McDowell wound up with.
Yeah. Man, that's a tough one, man.
What y'all think in the chats?
I'm gonna table this till after our conversation with Charles when we talk to him, because he obviously talks to Cedric Thomas every week, part of the Cedric Thomas Show, which if you ever miss, you can catch it on our BCSN Pod Zone. We do podcast and feed the Cedric Thomas Show every. He does it on Monday night, so it kind of comes out on Tuesday. But yeah, man, and then hey, don't sleep. Grambling State. Now I know Zach is talking about just overall, but if we just talk about within the SWAC, Grambling State is 0-2 right now in the SWAC. Second year for Coach Mickey Joseph. So we've got 4 second-year head coaches that are combined in conference games right now. Let me see. 0-2, 0-2, 0-2, and 0-1. And they all kind of play each other coming up over the next couple weeks. might be some job security on the line for some of these coaches. Maybe all of them. I don't know.
You think?
Look, if you listen to the fan bases, I hear intimately the FAMU fan base. And I know Carlos hears the Southern fan base. And I know Charles hears the Alcorn State fan base. I don't know what's going on with the Grambling fan base, but I got a feeling they're not feeling too good about things right now, even though they are 3-3 overall. That's a team that probably almost lost the game to Kentucky State. Imagine if they had lost that game to Kentucky State, Drew, which by the way, Kentucky State is a pretty good ball club, are they not?
Yeah, yes, they are. They are fighting for one of the top positions in the SIAC.
Yeah, Emmett's hedging on the over. Emmett says all 4 of them will be out. Now, look, again, I don't know where y'all getting the money from. I don't know where y'all HBCUs are getting $250,000, $300,000, and y'all can't afford NIL and some of these other things. I don't know where y'all getting the money from, but I just want you to understand that you got money to get rid of a coach who still has a year left on the contract, but we can't find the money to come up with NIL or, better supplies, meal, travel for your athletic programs. That's all I'm saying. Just think about that for a second. Is it wasted money, Drew? That's a conversation that I think maybe for another show. Is it wasted money to move away from a coach who still has a year left in the contract?
Bryan, this is what you have to look at. Has the coach lost the locker room? If the coach has lost the locker room, then yes, why you don't want to say if they've lost the confidence of the alum and the donor base, which is important. Probably the most important thing is their service to those student athletes. If he has lost the locker room, you got to make the change.
But you can change the locker room in 1 year, Drew, thanks to the transfer portal.
Yeah, but Bryan, you could bring in 50 kids, but when you're losing 70 because they're ready to transfer out, you got other problems.
I see. I got some. You guys are thinking here. I'm starring some of these questions. Tim asked a great question right here. Do you lose the fan base when you have a bad season, even though the coach is in the middle of his 3-year deal? And is it repairable? Like, that's a great question.
Do you, despite the fact that you are losing, do you see hope? Do you see promise? Do you see improvement? If we've gone from losing by 3 touchdowns a game to the point where if we clean up the penalties or we don't throw this pick and we're in 1-score games and we've made that type of improvement, even though our record doesn't say it in, I can live with that. But when you are going from winning to not competing, I can't. It's hard to sell that to a fan.
Okay. Let's catch up on some of the games, obviously from the weekend. Without a doubt, hands down, we've kind of been teasing this. Doc Bill's kind of been teasing this game of the decade. I even heard him slip and say, I don't know if this was Freudian slip or whether he did this on purpose. Did you notice he was talking about game of the century? Did you notice that?
Well, of the quarter century, regular season.
Wow, that's a lot of games. Quarter century. That's a lot of games.
Hey, we put out some stuff earlier this year. Top moments of the top players of the quarter century, top 25 of the 2020s.
Right.
It's gonna be hard to find a regular season game, Bryan, that was at this level.
Well,
regular season. I'm not. But number one still is the Cricket Celebration Bowl.
Celebration Bowl. Yes.
Still my number one.
Okay, so here's the impact of this game. Jackson State wins 38-34. Basically, both teams score 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and they go tit for tat. Essentially, let me see. When I tuned in after the game was done at FAMU, it was about 7.5 minutes to go. Jackson State had a 31-20 lead. They had just scored on a pass from Jacobian Morgan to Janaylan Dupree. They're up 11 with 9:18 to play. Then I think it's the next 3 possessions where Alabama State scores. Well, it can't be the next 3 because they score on a 5-play, 75-yard drive to cut the deficit to 31-27.
Stop right there, Bryan. Stop right there. I asked that question this morning.
You did.
And I'm going to ask it again.
Yes.
Should Alabama State have gone for 2 in that situation?
Let me see. What is your calendar says, or your that charting sheet that a lot of coaches says you're down 11.
Fourth quarter, under 8 minutes to go in the ball game. Score is 26-31 with the PAT to come.
I gotta think you do go for it. I think if you have the analytics, because going for it puts you down 3, which means if you get the ball back again, you're playing for a
field goal instead of a touchdown.
Field goal instead of needing a touchdown
for a field goal.
Right. So in that case, yes, Alabama State should have gone for it. Okay, but we all know they did not. They didn't go for it. So now they're down 31-27, right? And a fumble, which is amazing that would even happen, that you would get a fumble on the
inside
next
the
drive. No. It was apparently at the Alabama State 49-yard line.
Oh, I'm sorry, wrong game. I'm on the wrong game. I'm thinking about the
wrong. Yeah, Alabama State. So Jackson State started on their own 33. 3 plays later, they fumble at the Alabama State 49-yard line. Alabama State gets the ball back, and then they matriculate the ball down the field. Let's see. Let me catch myself here. Yeah, I'm in the box where I'm all over the place here. 3 plays, 31 yards. Take the lead with 4:36. I mean, talk about a momentum swing in a matter of not even a full 4 minutes, right? 4 minutes. They cut the deficit, or they actually go from being down 11 to up 3. And then Jackson State, with Jacoby and Morgan, comes down on a 10-play, 68-yard drive with 3:34. Could be one of the defining drives of that young man's football career. He's still got some great games left ahead of him, but who knows, right? Outstanding drive, 18-yard pass play, a play that, Drew, as I watched that play going towards the end zone, you're watching him kind of needle that pass through some Alabama State defenders, and you're almost like, where was the secondary? But anyway, great pass, great play, great catch, touchdown Jackson State. They go up 4, but, Drew, in the celebration, they committed unsportsmanlike penalty, which moves them back 15 yards. So they're kicking off from the 20, not the 35. Needless to say, it doesn't matter because Jackson State did a great job on the kickoff and the kickoff coverage. And I believe they end up.
When your kicker kicks the ball to the 10, to the opposite 10 from the 20, that's what you call a foot.
Right. They start on the 29. So essentially, they get out to the 29-yard line. So if they had started from the 35 and kicked it in the end zone, we're talking a 4-yard difference. So really, the penalty doesn't affect them as you might have thought it would or could. And so at this point, Alabama State has about 44 seconds on the clock. And they matriculate 5 plays down the field to get all the way to the 2-yard line with 1 second left, Drew. Now, my next question, you brought up the going for 2. What play are you thinking should have been called or was going to be called in that moment? Alabama State, 1 second left on the left hash mark, Andrew Body with the ball.
Since they had trouble running in between the tackles all day, Bryan, I am looking to go. I'm looking RPO or some type of boot with a pass option with a tight end or something in the back of the end zone. But here's the thing, Bryan. I'm calling it to the wide side of the field, not the short side of the field. And because of where the ball was spotted at, the wide side of the field was to Andrew's Body's strong hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm calling. The play call itself, although Jackson State did a good job blowing it up, may not have been a bad play call, but running it to the weak side, to the short side, to the offhand, was not the call to do. Right, yeah. Bryan, and here's the thing. The ball's on the 1-yard line. Every coach who coaches football at any level has a series of plays to run for right there. What you talking about, Drew? You run your best 2-point conversion play at that point.
I think
because
so.
You have plays from the 2-yard line where you spot the ball for a 2-point conversion. You 1 yard closer, but you run the same series of plays. You go through that and run those plays. Whichever one is the best one on your call sheet, given what you've seen in the game, is the call that you make at that point in time.
It's funny you say that, because I thought I'm running an RPO, but I thought, and again, I'm coming in kind of blind. I didn't know what the stats were in that game per se. I didn't know that, Alabama State's vaunted rushing attack had really only gained 165 yards. And I say only because Andrew Body had 93 of those 165. But I'm still thinking I'm running the ball. I'm doing maybe a dive to that left side. I'm going to take a chance with Andrew Body with a read. And if he wants to hand it off, give it to the back. If he sees something, pull it out and go. I would have never in my life would have predicted or thought they would come up on the short side. And then two, the ball wouldn't even be passed into the end zone. Like if I would think you want to throw the ball into the end zone and let fate be what fate is going to be, right? But the ball never even got into the end zone. And credit to, as Israel said, the dark side defense, if that's what they called. Once again, Jackson State's defense came up with a big play at a big moment. And here's the thing that is really interesting. Because of scheduling, right? Because of Alabama State's schedule, their season essentially is MEAC or SWAC championship, Celebration Bowl, or nothing. There's no playoff opportunities for Alabama State because they play Tuskegee at the end of the year. And so let this sink in. If they run the table, finish with one loss, miss out on the SWAC championship game, 1 yard short, one play, how tough will that be to stomach in the offseason? One play, 1 yard, maybe 2 yards, right? That's what you missed out on. And that play is how potentially your season ended and how you ended up not advancing into, still a lot of football left, I know, but I'm thinking forward here for the next six weeks. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Zach said this season's over. JSU isn't losing again. Okay.
It's not that they won't lose again. JSU actually has to lose twice because of the tiebreaker.
Well, at this point, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. An absolute gut punch. A gut punch. And you say you called it the Florida A&M Jackson State game that finished 7-6, right? And I think Jackson State had blocked a field goal somewhere in that game, maybe in the second or third quarter, that prevented FAMU from. I don't think FAMU scored a touchdown in that game. I think they had two field goals. Jackson State scored one. So there was a third field goal attempt that got blocked, which in hindsight ended up deciding the game, right? So that game, and and that was the beginning of the season. So the whole rest of the conference season played out. And of course, what you got was Jackson State going to the Celebration Bowl, winning the SWAC championship, going to the Celebration Bowl. FAMU went playoffs. So their season wasn't over. Alabama State, essentially, if Jackson State wins out, as many of you are predicting, as Zach's predicting, the season's over. Season's over. Another bridesmaid finish in the SWAC East for Alabama State. That's tough. That
is tough.
But it lived up to the hype. Game of the year. It lived up to the hype. I thought there'd be a lot of points. There were 72 total points. So if you had the over, congratulations. I thought there'd be over 60. So I was definitely on the over. Alabama State plus 8.5. I had Alabama State plus 8.5. I did pick Jackson State in the pick 5 contest, because I wanted Jackson State to win for selfish reasons. But so everything kind of worked out in the end as I kind of thought it would. But yeah. All right. Let's get ready to take our break because, again, our guest, Charles Edmond, coming on the show. Charles, we're going to talk about not only Alcorn, but, as it's sort of been, as our good friend Zach there in the chat pinned it, I mean, 3 top programs who were all predicted to finish either first or second in the divisions, East and West, are hanging out around the bottom, and we got 4 coaches down there in the bottom 6 that are on the second year of contracts. I saw a note in here by G Boom that said, G Boom, explain this a little. He said Mickey Joseph need 5 more wins in his last 6 games for his contract to reach 8. What is that? I don't understand what 8 means. Or is that a typo? Is there some kind of tenure thing there that he's referring to? I don't know, but yeah. I see Steve is predicting some Division II openings, which might be coming. I don't know. There's some we're everything's up for review here. The midway point is happening. Coaches are getting let go. I see you guys posting in the chat. Trent Dilfer got fired. Drew, we talked about this. 2 of the last 3 years we've seen HBCU coaches let go before the season ended. Who's the first? When will it happen?
I can't answer that.
Well, I know you can't. I'm speaking rhetorically to the people in the chat. This is a chat question. And then as Drew said, the over under is 1.5. Over or under 1.5 coaches. I mean, I hate to see somebody. I hate to put it out there. I'm not a fan of doing the hot seat thing. But given the landscape of college football and the impatience of alums, that's the reality. But where are y'all getting the money from? That's what I really want to know. Where are you getting the money from? If you don't have money for NIL and all these other things, where are you getting the money from to get rid of a coach who still has a year left? I'm just asking the question. Let's take that break and come back with Charles Edmond, our good friend, host of Brave Talk with Charles Edmond right here on the BCSN Pod Zone, and, of course, the voice of Alcorn State Sports Radio. We'll talk to Charles on the other side. Hang tight with us. You're watching the BCSN SportsWrap right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU Sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
College football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
Welcome back to, welcome back to the BCSN SportsWrap. Bryan and Drew here, and joining us is none other than good friend Charles Edmond, the voice of Alcorn State Sports Radio. Charles, how you doing this evening, my friend?
Well, normally, I'm always on the up and up, and I'm always mellow and chill and all that good stuff. But, based on the events that just happened on our campus the last 24 hours and happening in football in the state of Mississippi the last 48 hours, it's kind of tough. You love sports, you love to talk about sports, but it's a lot more stuff that's a lot bigger. But I'm hanging in there. It's just, we got the win yesterday on homecoming, but we all know what happened on our campus. I've been at Alcorn 34 years. Never happened. And so now you just got to, move forward. Thoughts and prayers are with the individual who's deceased. She's from Vicksburg, where I live. So the name doesn't sound familiar, but I'll get more information on it. But tough, but we kind of plow forward.
Thank you for leading into that. Didn't get a chance to, as we were coming in kind of hot. We were a little bit late getting on. But I'm kind of reading the article for those of you who may not be aware from HBCU Game Day. There is another pair of HBCU homecoming shootings. This time, both of them occurred in Mississippi, where a woman was killed and a child was shot. Reading from the article on Game Day Newswire, 2 HBCU campuses in Mississippi, Jackson State and Alcorn State, have reported shootings during homecoming events. At Alcorn, authorities say a shooting occurred near an old gas station on campus around 6:30 p.m., resulting in one woman's death and 2 other people being rushed to the hospital. The campus was immediately locked down, and students were told to shelter in place until officials gave an all clear. The Mississippi Bureau of Investigation is leading the investigation. At Jackson State, reports surfaced of a shooting near the tailgate section of Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium on West Street. A child was reportedly struck and transported to UMMC by Jackson police in a patrol vehicle. Capitol PD and JPD are investigating, but no suspect details have been confirmed so far. And yes, they did. And then, of course, this is on the heels of last week's incident at South Carolina State, where a young 19-year-old lost, I believe it was a young lady who lost her life. So here we are. We had 13 schools that had homecomings yesterday. We have another batch having homecomings this Saturday, including Florida A&M, where you'll be coming in town for that. I'll be there as well. It's a tough situation that we're dealing with. Drew, your homecoming, is it this weekend or next?
This weekend coming up, Brian.
Yeah. We're in all the years, Charles, we want to celebrate alums coming back home. Is this just where we're at today in society? Is there anything? What are you hearing that campuses are doing on their end to try to? I don't know if you can curb this, but to help minimize this from happening, because it seems to be it seems to be a sad trend that's happening at least now each of the last 2-3 years now, where I mean the month of October and going into November is being marred by this kind of stuff.
And not even this year, but if you go back last year, Tuskegee.
Yeah.
First thing I can think about is Tuskegee, what happened. And I didn't realize what was happening on our campus until I got home last night. I saw the emergency vehicles go the other way. I live in Vicksburg, which is north. I saw vehicles going south, and I just didn't know until I got a call and said, all right, tell me what happened. What's going on campus? I'm hearing this and that. So I didn't know what was really going on until way after it happened. I don't know what you can do, especially with homecoming and so many people. It's so congested. And the area where it took place on our campus is actually in the same building where our radio station is, on the other end of the building. So it was, I don't know what you can do. I mean, you can put as many security folks in different areas and pockets on campus. You can go scanners, you can bring the dogs out to sniff for weapons or whatever. I just don't know what you can do to prevent it. But going forward is what I look at. I mean, look at the measures Tuskegee took place on the back end. And I'm sure at Jackson and South Carolina State, and I can almost assure you at Alcorn, there's going to be some things that are different. What's that's going to look like, I don't know. But there's going to be, anytime this happens, even if it's the first time it's ever happened, there's going to be some changes. Somewhere at some point, president has to answer for it. Administrations have to answer for it. So there's going to be something. There's going to be something different. I don't know what it looks like. And for campuses where it hasn't happened, like Florida A&M, and I'm sure for AD at Morehouse, I'm sure presidents, they read the news, and I'm sure there's just going to be some vigilance, extra vigilance that's going to take place going forward. So it's going to be different. It's just a sad state of affairs, and it's just so difficult, especially with it being homecoming and alums. They spend so much money to come on campus and have a good time. I was talking with somebody the other day that said for him and his family, they spent $2,000 this weekend, and that's just probably hotel tickets. Homecoming is a big deal. I mean, so you're here, your family, and folks close to you. So there's a financial piece to it, but it doesn't compare to the loss of life. And so it's senseless, it's unnecessary, but this is just where we are right now.
Yeah. The game that took place at Jack Spinks Mario Kasem Stadium against Lincoln. Alcorn gets the first win of the season. I know there was a lot of concern as to whether Lincoln would show. They did show. I think I heard a report. I don't know if it was prior to your show, because you were on the show with Carlos before your game. I don't know if it was your show or somewhere else, but I heard that the number of players was somewhere in the ballpark of 34 players that they had. We have. I'm at a small 1A school.
1A high schools have more than that.
Yeah, I work at a small 1A high school, and we got 34 players. That's like, you guys didn't beat them up too bad, because they got 2 more homecomings to go to over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, there are some players that definitely went down. There's no doubt about it.
Jesus.
But you got to give Lincoln a lot of credit for just giving it what they got. They played hard. There was some stuff out there in terms of on the field, just their quarterback just did not hit those receivers that were open. The concepts, you kind of saw that, and they just gave it everything they had. But at the end of the day, it was just that the numbers game did catch up with them, and we were able to get some things done. It wasn't the prettiest in the world, but look, we got the win. And, I'm just glad the game was played, because there was a lot of talk all week long for the last 2 weeks, whether or not the game would get played or not. Brian, you text me Friday asking when's the game going to get played. A lot of people wondering. Our AD confirmed it on Monday that the game would be played. And there was conversations between our folks and Lincoln folks. Even I was told our president called Lincoln's president maybe last week or week and a half ago and said, is your team coming? And their president assured us that they were coming. So there was never any doubt the game would not be played. I think this is one of those cases where social media kind of took over for folks. They just read the articles and the stories.
Charles, can you blame them?
I don't blame them. Okay. I don't blame them. But I think it's up to, when that happens, I think it's up to us to be able to comfort people and say, hey, folks, this game's going to take place. And this is that we've been in conversation. So that's why I had our AD on Monday, because it got too much for me personally, because people were blowing up my phone the last 2 or 3 weeks wondering. So I just say, you know what, let's get somebody official that's been dealing with this. And we got them on, and our AD assured everybody. But even as of Friday, somebody called me and asked, was the game going to be played? And I understand, I get it. And you just have to just roll with it like that.
So Alcorn gets their first win of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So before I get to that, the bigger question where we were talking about as we kind of came into the show, as we think about the bottom six and some of the what life is like for the bottom six, where is Alcorn State fans? Where is the Alcorn State players? And where are the Alcorn State coaches at this point in the season? Now that you got a win after losing the last 5, where are those 3 groups? Because sometimes I feel like all 3 of those groups are sometimes in different places.
Well, let's start from the fan standpoint, because we had homecoming yesterday, and it wasn't the same homecoming in terms of fans. Normally, it's pretty packed. Tailgating is pretty packed, and it wasn't that yesterday. It just didn't have the same homecoming feel. I've been a part of 34 of them at Alcorn. It wasn't the same feel. You got to go back to 1999 when we went on 11, and I think even then it was a little bit different feel then. But it definitely wasn't the same vibe, the same crowd, the same energy. So from a fan standpoint, I think this game might not have changed a whole lot of fans' interpretation of this season, because of just, even though we won with a big score, the fans that I've talked to just weren't impressed with just how the operation went down and how the game went down. So from a fan standpoint, I think it's neutral. You came out of it the same way that you felt like coming into it. And then you look at the schedule. We were coming to Florida A&M, never been down there. They're struggling, but we're trying to get some things done. That's going to be tough. Valley plays is tough. Texas Southern, it's going to be tough. They beat Grambling. Southern, Grambling, Jackson. Just a lot of people feel like this is the only win we're going to get. That's just from a fan's perspective. The players are just kind of doing their thing. Cedric Thomas is doing everything he can to keep the players enthused. If you just look at the losses we've had in conference, there were winnable games: UAPB, Alabama A&M, and then of course Prairie View. So from that standpoint, you feel like get back in conference, and we can pick up where we left off and making a few more plays. We can win a few more games in conference. That's just from a player standpoint. Now, we have lost some players. Some players have left the program, and Cedric Thomas acknowledged that. So I think the losing has kind of caused some players to say, you know what, maybe this thing ain't for me. So from a player standpoint, I think that's kind of where they are. We got a lot of players still left, but some have left the program. There's no doubt about that. So the coaches are still coaching. The coaches are still doing what they can. There's kind of a different feel in terms of the offensive room, because there's been some changes there in terms of who's running the offense from a coach's standpoint. So fans wanted to see some sort of change in the offensive, voice. There's a little bit of a change there. So the coaches are still doing their job. Whether you're 0-6 or 6-0 or 3-3, you still got to get up every day and coach and do the best you can. So the coaches are still very enthusiastic about it. But there's no doubt our fans are I just talked with one right before we came on, and he just feels like we're not going to win another game. This is it. And of course, that's tough. So coming in to Lincoln, coming out of Lincoln, we got the W, but people don't have that great of feeling a better feeling, or that much of a better feeling coming out of it as they did coming into it. I'm just being honest. I mean, if we're just gonna have a conversation, let's have it. And that's just where this is what I'm hearing. This is what people are telling me, and so it's just a tough situation.
Cedric Thomas is in the second year of what? Is it a 3-year or 4 or 5-year deal?
It is a 3-year deal. Now, somebody mentioned to me that it was a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option. I'm not exact, and I got to get confirmation, but I'm not exactly buying that one. I think it's more of a 3-year deal. And so, I don't know what's going to happen. I do think, I am going to say this. I think our administration is looking for a better product, considering we got a bunch of home games against 3 of our 4 biggest rivals, Valley, Grambling, Southern at home. We've got to be able to get some things done. And none of those teams are really playing very well. We're not either, but we're at home. So the expectation is that the product has to be better and get some wins to make it feel better in terms of Cedric Thomas going into a 3rd season. We were 6-6 last year. We had a pretty good quarterback room. That room is totally different. And so we got to figure out a way to win some games here, starting with Florida A&M on Saturday down in Tallahassee.
So it brings me to the question on the table as I was looking at the standings. 5 programs in the SWAC. I know it's early, but 5 programs are winless in the SWAC at 0-2 or 0-1. FAMU is the 0-1, but Mississippi Valley State, Southern, Alcorn, all 0-2. And then if you just look at those 3 schools, Alcorn, Southern, FAMU, all of us were, and I say us, FAMU and Alcorn, those 3 schools were predicted either 1st or 2nd preseason rankings, if I'm not mistaken. And it's starting to lead to that conversation. We're seeing what's happening in the FBS level, where it seems like every Sunday over the last, now the 3rd consecutive week, there's a couple of powered coaches who are being let go on Sunday. It's like Bloody Sunday every week right now in FBS football. Mm-hmm. And given the fact that, FAMU, Coach Colsey, the 2nd year of a 3-year deal. Terrence Graves, 2nd year on a 3-year deal. Cedric Thomas, 2nd year on a 3-year deal. Now, Grambling is 0-2. Even though they're 3-3 overall, they're 0-2 in the conference, and they got a game coming up against UAPB. Mickey Joseph, year 2 of a 3-year deal. You look in the chats, and a lot of fans are upset.
Is Mickey Joseph a 3-year or a 2-year? I was told that he accepted a 2-year deal.
So this is year 2 then.
This is year 2, yeah.
Ooh, wow.
I think that's on Mickey Joseph. I think that's what Mickey Joseph wanted. It is very hard for a coach, you would think, to accept a 2-year deal.
Yeah, that's kind of odd that you would only accept a 2-year. Usually you want that security of a 3-year deal, because most coaches will tell you it'll take me a couple years to get my system. But with that said, the problem with trying to wait 2 years to get to the 3rd year, you may lose the fan base based on your performance in year 3. Yeah. At Florida A&M, Charles, just 2 years removed from a national championship. And look, they talk about the ledge report. The fan base has jumped, Charles. I can't even hold enough people off the ledge. They're gone. Yeah. They are ready for the Charlie Ward basketball era. Yeah. They are moving on to basketball. And I don't know if they will come back the way things are. Southern folks seem very upset. Southern's lost 4 games in a row, and they got whooped by Bethune-Cookman, who might be one of the best stories happening right now. Their coach, many people were talking him being on the hot seat at the beginning of the year. Raymond Woody has all of a sudden, they flipped the switch, and now they're scoring points. I my question, Charles, is where I always wonder like where the money is coming from, but what I don't want to ask you to predict or think about what's going to happen, but what is the big takeaway that fan bases have to consider? Should they even consider showing patience? What's your thoughts on where these 4 or 5 programs are? Because I said this is the bottom 6, and the bottom 6 all play each other this week and next week. I think a lot of things are going to shake out over the month, these last 2 weeks in October, Charles. It's going to be very interesting.
Well, to answer your question, they should show patience, but that's just not the reality. You know, I'm learning in this new landscape of college athletics that even though there's more money to be made from coaches to coaches, there's more money to be made when it comes to players. They can now get paid. I think the patience has become shorter as more money is being doled out to different factions. Coaches are always going to get paid. Players are now starting to get paid, and that means the patience is a little bit shorter because you expect stuff right away. And as you mentioned, all these coaches on 2-year deals, as we joke, the Carlos Brown contract, because Carlos Brown threw it out there now. I mean, and so I think it's just that's not patience anymore. The transfer portal has allowed you to be able to rebuild rosters quickly to where, yeah, you might have a bum year, but you ought to be able to rebuild your roster a little bit better in the second year where it's a little bit better of a product. That's not happening though. And so when you look at the patience, the 6-6 that we had last year, the patience from our fans is definitely gone. One guy said he doesn't see us winning another game. You know, what's the crowd going to look like? We got 3 of our 4 biggest rivals at home. Usually we have good crowds when Valley comes to town, Grambling comes to town, and Southern. You know, what's that matchup going to look like? You know, it speaks with both of our teams possibly out of the race. So fans are not patient. Now, unless you have the money to buy out a coach, and there's only one coach that I know of that was bought out and helped me with the history here. When Broderick Fobbs was at Grambling, he had 1 year left and $309,000 on his contract, and I didn't think Grambling could afford to buy him out, but they bought him out. If the product is bad enough for long enough and the right people with the money and the power and the influence want to pull the plug is probably going to get pulled. And I'm looking at Terrence Graves, who won the West last year. And here he is. I mean, it's just been a brutal stretch for Southern University. Don't know if Graves is going to make it. I like Coach Graves. I think from a personality standpoint, he's outstanding. But it's the way, not only Southern losing their games, just the way and the manner that they lost them, one-sided, not even close. I think if it was a little bit more competitive, I think people would say, okay, we may see some light at the end of the tunnel. But people aren't seeing that. And so I think fans are obviously upset with what's going on with Southern football. Our fans are frustrated and impatient. Colsey, this is his second year, but I'm looking at it from Colsey's standpoint in another angle, the administrative and the political aspect of it. You got a new administration that's on board, a new president, AD. I mean, that's just a tough combination where you got new leadership and then your main program's not winning. That's a brutal combination. And so, you know, even with Dooley, I mean, there's a comment there about Carlos, but Carlos, as far as Dooley's concerned, Dooley was bought out. So that's another one that I should have thought of, but I didn't. So when the rubber meets the road, guys, when the power brokers get involved and money gets involved and people want the coach gone, if it's bad enough, long enough, and if it's just people can't stand it anymore, calls get made, money, deals can be had. You know, all kinds of things that can happen in which a coach can be pushed out the door, even though he or she is owed money. And if it's bad enough for long enough, that's exactly what can happen. You see what I was shocked with James Franklin. I was driving today and I just could not believe
50
what
million.
I mean, he's owed what, 44 million.
Still owed.
Yeah, he still owed that. And then, you got DeBoer at Alabama at one point when he was struggling, he's owed $70 million early in the year. And somebody I talked to said, they got it. They can come up with it. No problem. And so, this is just kind of where we are on that. But I just think and believe that right now the patience is just not there. And unless some of these teams start winning some games, the plug's going to get pulled. And if the right power brokers and the right people in administration, I think the Terrence Graves situation, I think, is a little bit higher than the AD. And Wheeler Brown and I have talked, and he's talked about it, getting the support from the AD. But I think the AD does support the coach. But when you have boards and you have chancellors and you have presidents and board members are saying, make a change, the AD is kind of has their hands tied in this. I think it's just my Charles Edmonds' opinion. So I think even though with Graves, Roman Banks is supportive, but it's just tough. And homecoming's coming up at Southern University this week too. And so I think that adds to the misery. When you're not playing well, you got homecoming coming up. You want a packed house at Mumford, just like you wanted a big crowd at Spinks yesterday.
Only 7,000 people. Only 7,000 people. Spinks holds like 20 something, doesn't it? 20 plus.
Yeah. Yep. You had a third of the stadium was full, and then you have more people out tailgating. That's not a good scene either when that happens.
Well, no.
So it's just there's a lot in the bag there, Brian. It really is. And the 16 that you mentioned, who would have thought Alcorn would have fallen the way it has? Who would have thought Southern would have fallen the way that it has? Who would have thought Florida A&M has fallen the way that it has? But that's where we are, and you can either hang in there and stay with that team, stay with the Braves, stay with the Rattlers, or people are jumping ship, and so we're kind of in the same boat. Us Southern, Florida A&M, Grambling, we're just all in the same boat, and it's a tough situation. Not even barely halfway through the season.
No, here's how crazy this. I mean, obviously, we just finished a weekend where we had the game of the year, Alabama State, Jackson State, right? And did you get I don't know. Have you had a chance to go back and watch any of that game yet, or you still have to go back and watch it later?
I saw the last play of the game. Last play of the game, and it was kind of a weird play. I don't know if that's exactly what was supposed to happen on that play, but that play had no chance. Maybe the penetration on that left side, got there. But that play had no chance on that side. If it was strong side left, I don't know. But when I saw the last play of the game, I did see that.
Okay.
But you got to give.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
You got to give kudos to Alabama State. I knew it was going to be a good, one of the best games of the year, and Alabama State stood toe to toe. But that final play, I mean, that's what probably leaves a sour taste in the Hornets fans' mouth. Is that final play just didn't really give yourself a chance. But the Hornets had the lead with 5 minutes left, and Jackson comes right back, and that just shows you what a championship team is made of. I mean, to beat Jackson State right now, you're going to have to be on your A game, and you got to hope Jackson's a little bit off. And that happened yesterday. Alabama State was on their A game, and Jackson was a little bit off, and they got the test of the season. But they found a way to come through. They're at home. I thought being at home would make a difference. If that game was in Montgomery, Alabama State might have found a way to win that one. But you're at home, 40,000+ there. It was a great crowd from what I saw. Jackson found a way.
This weekend, this is that we talked about the bottom six. Listen to this schedule this week. This is this coming. Now, you already mentioned Southern's homecoming, right? Southern coming off of a bad loss on the road at Bethune-Cookman. Hey, now you got homecoming. Here comes Prairie View A&M leading the Western Division right now off a bye week. Yikes. Now we've got the case between Alcorn State and Florida A&M. FAMU, a bad loss, consecutive blowout losses to – now, look, FAMU has lost to two of the top three teams in HBCU football in consecutive weeks, thanks to no game against Valley, right? They get blown out by Alabama State, get blown out by North Carolina Central. Now you got homecoming. But here comes Alcorn. Alcorn, you guys just got your first win. You understand what's at stake. Your coaches, your players. I mean, here's two teams that are both sitting at 1-5. Or FAMU 1-4, winless in conference play. Then Grambling State also winless, traveling to UAPB. UAPB is tasting a little bit of success for the first time in the Alonzo Hampton era. They're 3-3, 1-1. I mean, if Grambling goes, so look, that's what's on the line. So it's like, for talking points, I know we just finished talking about the preview and the hype of the game of the year, game of the decade. But now we got three games, which I gotta tell you, Charles, the storylines for these 3 games that I just mentioned, woo, they blow away. I mean, they're on par with. And you know me, I'm a little messy sometimes, Charles, so I can be messy. But for those who want talking points, you know, we can talk about the good stuff all the time, but sometimes to get people riled up and get people talking, you got to talk about the stuff that's unpopular. And the unpopular talk is these 3 games. And the worst case scenarios, 2 of these schools losing their homecoming games is a reality, and it's gonna make for some real uncomfortable situations should it happen.
You're exactly right. And look, this is the worst thing that can happen when you're not playing well, is when you're playing at home and homecoming and fans are already on you on social media talking about you. And then you would love to come home and be able to relax a little bit and just enjoy being at home. But it can be a pressure cooker at home. I mean, the 3 games you mentioned, Grambling and UAPB, for Grambling, it's an elimination game. If they lose, it's pretty much done. I mean, if you just want to be real about it, you know, you stick a fork in that, and they're my alma mater. I want to see them do well, but they lose to UAPB on the road at Golden Lion Stadium, where UAPB plays pretty well at home at times. They lose that game, that's done. We got a couple of losses already to Western Division teams in the division, which count twice if you just want to think about it. Prairie View, as well as UAPB. Even though we're playing FAMU on the eastern side, but still we got 2 losses. Can't afford to lose that. And then you've got Prairie View, which, I mean, who would have thought at SWAC Football Media Day, Tremaine Jackson, for all the stuff that he talked about, very confident.
They were talking that talk.
You're talking that talk, but I mean, it hasn't been pretty. And our fans were saying, man, Prairie View could have been had. We just didn't take it. And so they go to Baton Rouge, a wounded Southern team. And for the Jaguars, you know, it's tough. You know, Southern's a tough place for the visiting team, but when the home team's not playing well, it's a tough place for the home team. I've said that on Carlos' show many times. And this one's going to be a pressure cooker because it's homecoming. Fans are coming home. They expect something better, and it hasn't been better. And so I think that's another tough situation. So I didn't think it would be this widespread. I thought it would be a little bit better, but it hasn't been. And, you know, it could get worse before it gets better, depending on how these teams come out and respond, especially for FAMU. I mean, we've never been to Bragg. I'm looking forward to that. I hear their homecoming is off the charts. Hotel rooms are sparse. You know, I was able to sneak and get one at a good rate, but it's going to be a good crowd there. They're going to be dancing in the aisles, and I hope we come ready to play.
Hope they're going to be dancing in the aisles.
Huh?
We hope they're going to be dancing in the aisles. We hope there's going to be festivities on Perry Street.
Well, I think there will be. In my opinion, I mean, it's homecoming. Does the success or failure of the team stop the homecoming festivities?
In Tallahassee, it may.
It may. Wow. Okay. Well,
Charles, I got to ask you a question. Valley has Lincoln for homecoming.
Right.
The same Lincoln that you just played.
Mm-hmm.
You said they only came with 34, correct?
Right.
How many of them do you expect not to play Saturday? And now the same questions that we were asking Alcorn last week, we need to shift to another SWAC school and ask Valley, hey, is Lincoln going to show up and play?
Yes. All right. So let me expound on that. That was put out there too. Valley is actually paying for some of Lincoln's lodging expenses, from what I've been told. So Lincoln is not going back to Oakland.
But
Lincoln,
do they have anybody to lodge? Is the question, Charles?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think they'll be fine. I mean, I think you have maybe one serious injury from what I saw, but I think being in Mississippi, not traveling, not moving around, they're settled wherever they are. I don't know where they're staying, but I think they'll be fine when they take on Mississippi Valley. I think they'll be as fine as they possibly can be because they're not having to do a lot of moving around. And so to answer that question, I think Lincoln will be about as okay as you can possibly expect.
So let's ask the obvious question. Does Valley beat them like you guys beat Lincoln? Or what does it say about Valley if Valley would have to struggle against a Lincoln? And I say struggle, relatively speaking. Lincoln comes out, puts up 20 points against Valley, and they only win by double digit, 2 touchdowns or something like this.
Yeah.
Now, are we questioning Valley?
A little bit.
Should be a get right game.
Yeah, it should be. Considering if you look at what Valley's done all year long, they gave Southern all they can handle. They actually led against A&M yesterday. They got off to a fast start. I think that if Valley struggles on their homecoming against Lincoln, then there will be some talk. But the coach is in his first season, so I think there's a little bit of a pass there, but not much because of the optics. You're playing a team that only brought 37 players. So the optics says, oh, yeah, you ought to be able to score 70 points easy because they just don't have the bodies. Well, if that doesn't happen, then people gonna ask questions. People going to scratch their head. People are scratching their heads here at Alcorn because we scored a ton of points, but people thought it should have been a running clock in the third and fourth quarter. Now, it was a 6-minute fourth quarter. It was a 6-minute fourth quarter.
6
minutes.
Wow.
Our athletic director came
6
in our
minutes
booth.
like you're fresh and you're on.
I'm glad I didn't bet on that game because I would have been upset. I'd have been highly upset.
Our athletic
Charles,
came in our booth and showed me a cell phone, and I guess he was sending the information around and said the fourth quarter will be 6 minutes. So,
and do we say the same thing about Texas Southern facing the VUL? Although VUL has been a lot more competitive than a Lincoln as an opponent.
Yeah.
Who they play yesterday? I forgot. Who they play?
Grambling. Texas Southern, you mean?
No, VUL.
No, VUL. Okay. Because VUL is on a 4-week homecoming run.
4-week 4-conference homecoming run.
Yeah. They just played some I don't even know who they just played.
Give me a second. I'll tell you exactly 1 minute, Brian. I don't know what
it wasn't a MEAC school. It was either a CIAA or a SIAC school.
VUL Morgan.
Oh, they played Morgan. Okay, so they did play Morgan. Yeah.
They play the order is Morgan, Texas Southern, Livingstone, and Benedict.
Yeah.
Now, the bigger question about Lincoln is they've got Valley this week, and then they play Prairie View at PVU the following week. Are they going back to Oakland and flying directly into Houston? Or are they going to stay on this end of the track and then, busting on down to Prairie? Is Prairie View helping out with anything? I don't know.
They better. Prairie View better not let them get to.
They swiping that diesel card and hopping on them.
Nah. Prairie View better not.
They're probably in about 3 vans.
Prairie View better not let them get out of the South. That's all I'm gonna say. They better not get.
Don't let them go home.
Well, we did provide we did pick them up at the airport. Alcorn did that for Lincoln. They flew into Jackson and we picked them up, and I think that was our transportation. I don't know what happens from here. I'm sure I don't know if Valley picks it up from here, so I don't know how that's gonna go. But
hey, question, Charles. Hold on. Who were the homecoming opponents prior to the Lincolns and the VULs coming into the college football space? Who did you guys used to play on homecoming?
Well,
I mean, if you just roundabout think about it, conference.
I think we played Edward Waters. Last year for homecoming. We played Louisiana College. Let me take that. I can't remember, but I know we have played SWAC teams in the past on homecoming. We played Grambling on homecoming, and Grambling beat us by blocking a point after an overtime. So we've played some SWAC teams, but I think, for me, and I talk with our guy about it in the booth with me that does these games, homecoming, is it about the opponent or is it about the dates? I keep coming back to this because everyone wants to have their homecoming when they want to have it, middle of October, whatever that is. Ours is usually the first or second week of October. If you look at the master schedule, if we're playing UAPB in the middle of October at home, that's our homecoming opponent. We're not going to move it around too much. Others, Grambling has had homecoming in November, but ours is usually first, second week of October. Whatever falls, it falls that way. So to me, it's not about the opponent. It's about dates, in my opinion. I might be wrong on this, but that's just how I feel about it. And it just, I know coaches get upset, they're playing us for homecoming. Well, I don't know if that exactly was intentional. I just think the dates just fall there.
And I can say this as an administrator: when you look at that advanced schedule, 1 year, 2 years out, first of all, you look to see who your conference opponents are. Do you even have an open date in October where you can schedule somebody, Charles?
Correct.
Or are you stuck with a home game? Are you stuck with a Grambling? Are you stuck with a UAPB, depending on the schedule flip? And then you get together with your people on the other side of the house and say, all right, we've got 2 home games in October. Which game do y'all want to designate as homecoming? And there may only be 1 home game in October because you got 2 road games and a classic already scheduled in the month of October. So a lot of different things go into it. Next year we were looking at potential dates for Morehouse's homecoming, and I'll just take this. This is a real life example. And we looked at the schedule. There's only 1 possible date in the month of October that we could designate for homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we have other games in October, that might be a game that we may look to do a classic for. But considering that is the only date that we have in October, and because of buys and everything else, and the only other home game we would have after that next year is our Clark Atlanta game, which you will not make homecoming because that's already one of your biggest gates anyway. So homecoming essentially is your second gate to your rival game.
Right.
So we when the schedule comes out for 2026 for Morehouse, there are going to be some alums upset that our homecoming date is the date that we chose, because we actually had no choice in this matter because of road games and bye weeks.
And I don't think you have choice. I mean, there's a SWAC master schedule. We're 6 years in it now. This is the 6th year. You got 4 more years of it. So for those administrators at various schools, I don't know, Bryan, if you can be privy to it, you could probably look at Florida A&M's October schedule, homecoming schedule, the next 4 years, and tell how that's going to shape up and shake out. So I mean, there's no secrets here on this stuff. I mean,
right. So, and moving games, especially it conference games, usually take, I won't necessarily say an act of Congress, but there are a lot of hurdles. And conference games do get moved for one reason or another, but it's usually involved with one team being able to get a significant payout where it's worth working with the other team to try to move the game. Hey, we got this game scheduled the 3rd week of October, but we've got an opportunity to go pick up this check for $350 if we play opponent X. Can we move our game to the 2nd week of September because I see that you have that date open and I have not filled today. So there are a lot of different moving parts that a lot of people don't understand. We're putting these schedules together and then moving games, especially conference games and contracts and a lot of parts, because I can't sign this contract with team A until I move this conference game against you, Charles.
Yeah. I mean, even if you look at Southern, for example, Southern's homecoming is this week, but Southern had a game against Bethune yesterday, and then they had a bye week. Well, you could probably, I don't know. I mean, Carlos probably would know this in terms of, could Southern make that first week in October homecoming against someone? I mean, but then you got to find an opponent. So I'm not in the room, but I can just feel from my perch that it's not just like you talking about it. It's a lot of moving pieces. The master schedule is set the way it is. You can move games around, but probably not. And so I think the whole homecoming thing, in my opinion, is overblown. In my opinion, it's a good talking point, Bryan. It's a great discussion, but I just think if you get an administrator to come on record and say, look, folks, it's not as easy just for homecoming to play the College of Biblical Studies. It's not just like that. I mean, it can be, but it probably isn't when you got SWAC obligations that you have to fulfill in the month of October. So that's why I chuckle at it sometimes, because I hear the noise, but then I'm like, okay, can I explain to them? To me, it's about dates more than the opponent. You want an easy win on homecoming because you want your fans to feel good. I get it, but it ain't always like that. And so you just got to take it for whichever way it goes.
Charles, let me get you out of here with this. A quick question. We're at the mid-season point. What coaches, if you had an early front runner for coach of the year, who would that be? Or one or two coaches that would be in the running for your coach of the year here at the midway point of the season?
Well, I would say Eddie Robinson Jr. If he had won that game yesterday, I think you could definitely have put him in that category. They got him a quarterback in Andrew Body. You know, their defense still got some work to do. I would have put him in there. Tremaine Jackson. For all the talk, if you just unpack that and just take a deep breath, Tremaine Jackson, what he's doing at Prairie View. It's early yet. He's still got a bunch of big games coming up, but I will put Tremaine Jackson up there. Obviously, T.C. Taylor for what he's done, coach of the year. I mean, it's been special for what he's been able to accomplish there. And then, you talk about Alabama A&M. I think they kind of took a step back a little bit, but, the expectations there, not a lot was expected. He may be exceeding expectations at this point. So, but if I were to have a vote right now, I would probably put Tremaine Jackson at the top of my list. For all the talk and noise, you could talk to talk like Dion. You could talk to talk, but can you walk the walk? And so far at this moment at 6:49 Central Standard Time, he's walking the walk right now, sitting on a bye week, going to Southern University, the team that's struggling on their homecoming. I will put him at the top of my list at this point.
Here's the one thing. Although should TC go undefeated in conference play, he probably deserves it. I think TC is going to suffer. TC is going to get the Michael Jordan effect, where they get fatigued and they're going to find somebody else to give it to, which opens the door up for Tremaine Jackson.
Voter fatigue?
8-0 or 7-1. Yes, I think
Wow.
you're going to get some Jackson State / TC Taylor fatigue when it comes to the voting at the end of the season. Should both of those be your top two candidates?
So you would knock down, and I'm just
I'm not saying I would.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think that should TC Taylor not win it, that will be a big factor in it. TC's already got one. Let's give it to this other person.
Well, the expectation for Prairie View going into this year, and
Was
if
4 at best.
Okay, so yeah, so if you just step back and take a deep breath, then because he was picked to finish 4th, then he wins the West. That's a 4-spot improvement to where is anyone else. TC is expected to be there, so you kind of put that off to the side. Then Tremaine Jackson, if he continues to do what he's doing and wins the West, it could be a slam. I don't know, but it could be a slam dunk, a 4-spot improvement. I think you'd have to really have a deep conversation if he doesn't get it and Prairie View gets to where Tremaine Jackson assumes that they're going to get to Atlanta, because he's got Atlanta on a t-shirt that he's got. But if he wins the West, picked being 4th, I just think smart people that are voting it should be a no-brainer to me. But again, you're right. I mean, voter fatigue is there, but I don't know if voter fatigue in the conference, though.
I think it's too early. It's too early for voter fatigue. I mean, he's in year 3, like you guys in the chat room are saying. It's only year 3. I mean, wow, we're taking fatigue already in year 3.
Yeah.
Can I throw one other name out?
Sure.
How about Raymond Woody? If you apply what you just said about Tremaine Jackson and Prairie View, you have to apply that should Bethune continue on the trajectory that they are to Raymond Woody. If you use that same theory, Charles.
Yeah. I yes. The answer to your question is yes. The question is, will it happen? Can you see the path for Bethune? So who has a better path to that type of improvement? Is it Woody at Bethune-Cookman, or is it Tremaine Jackson at Prairie View?
It's easier when you come from the bottom, which Bethune was, minus Valley, to respectable, than when you are Prairie View, who went from the middle of the pack to the top.
Bethune would have to finish second in the conference.
Well, right now, they're in the position to finish right behind Alabama State.
Well, but if they, let me see, they've already lost one time. Well, yeah, they would, because they probably lose to Jackson State, and then let's just say they finish third. So if they finish third in the division, they're not getting it. They're not getting it. It's a nice thought, Drew. I mean, they'd have to shock the world and knock off Jackson State in order for him to get Coach of the Year, and I don't see that happening.
They split the Alabama schools, so
yeah, no. I think for my vote right now, and again, this is just midway point, just taking the temperature at this point in time, Tremaine Jackson. And yeah, I got caught up in the noise and at media day. I mean, he told me at media day, hey, I wouldn't say what I'm saying if I don't believe it. So he believes in his team. Got a lot of work to do though. Still a lot of football left to be played. But right now, I'm going. If I had a vote, and I don't, but if I did, it would be Tremaine Jackson. I mean, TC Taylor might have helped himself a whole lot winning a game. You know, they were down with 5 minutes left. And you knew they were going to get tested at some point in time, but they passed the test. They passed the test against one of the top 3 teams in the conference. I think we can say Alabama State's one of the top 3 teams. You got Prairie View, you got Jackson, and you got Alabama State. So they passed that test. And I think those who are impressed, I think there may be some bias in there. Just, you know, when you're dominant, it's hard to just keep putting the same coach in there, but you got to look at the numbers. You got to look at what they've done. You know, TC Taylor keeps running the table. I think, you know, if cooler heads will say you just can't take it away from this guy. But voter fatigue, I think it is a factor, but may not be as much of a factor in our conference. I think if you just got it done, heck, you just got to get it done, and you just got to give it to them. To me, I mean, that's just my opinion.
All right. Charles, I look forward to seeing you this weekend. Your booth will be right next to where myself and Albert Chester will. So it'll be good to kind of work next to you, you know, during
Let me ask you this question, Bryan.
Yeah.
I was going to call you. So at some of these stadiums, the Ethernet port is a long way from the window. Do I need to bring that? It was that way at Mississippi State. I had to bring a 200-foot roll of Ethernet cable to our table. Do I have to bring that to brag?
No, they got a lot of things wrong when they did the redesign the press boxes, but the one thing they got right is they put Ethernet ports right underneath the table or the what do you call it, the counter that you're in. So yeah,
did you tell the bad part, Bryan?
No, I'm not gonna tell them the bad part.
But there's not that much counter. But you do have Ethernet ports under the counter.
I mean, hold on. You don't have it's just you and how many other people? How many? You don't have like a 5 million.
Me and Emmanuel Barnes. That's it.
I
don't have one. It's all compact, and so I don't need a whole lot of space.
Plenty of room.
Do I need to bring this 200-foot of Ethernet cable like I had to do against Mississippi State?
No, no? You know, hey, look, I don't think you do, but you know, someone else may need it, so you may want to just bring it just in case.
Okay. Final question: how early do I have to get there? How early do I have to get to brag? To avoid? I hate traffic.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen. If they follow the pattern of previous games, kickoffs at 4, they probably start closing off the streets 3 hours. Now, I say 3 hours before game time, given the fact that it's homecoming, it might be 4 hours. So I would look to try to get to the stadium between noon and 1. And here's the advantage, Charles. If you get there between noon and 1, there's plenty of walking around things to do off of the street, which is behind the stadium, which is Perry Street. That will be jumping. So you have plenty of walking. If you get there early, that's not a bad thing because there's plenty of stuff to walk around and do and see around the stadium. So I would make plans to be there by noon. Look, Karen,
I might not be a co-host with Carlos Brown then because that's at
you
noon.
Could actually get there and do the show.
Yeah, I could, exactly. But how early I need to get there? Do I need to get there at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Nah, not quite that early.
I don't know if it'll be open. I don't know if the gates will be open at 10.
But if you got there in time enough to do the Carlos Brown show, you would be good. Yeah, you can just do a live.
Karen said 5 hours. I agree with Karen. If you get there, if you plan to get there between 11 and 11:30, you should be able to get up to the box and get plugged in to be able to do Carlos's show at noon. No,
That means that's 10 o'clock in the morning Central Time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, but I mean, you're on Eastern
thing,
time.
Charles.
You're coming in Eastern time, though, Charles.
Right,
so you
well,
remember,
yeah, well,
You
yeah.
just talk about his body clock.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
And one last thing, Charles. Please make sure you have your parking pass and credentials before you head towards campus, because they will turn you around in a New York minute. So
I
make
can
sure
imagine.
somebody gets you your credentials to the hotel where you're at.
I'm gonna make a phone call as soon as this show is over with. Hey man, have my credentials ready for me by
Call
the time
Dennis.
I go through our media relations people, so
Yeah.
I'll make sure. You know, our team is staying in Valdosta, Georgia.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
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 I mean, look,
So
North Carolina
so
Central,
you're
they had to
going
stay
an
out
hour
in
past?
well, they had to stay in Crawfordsville. You know, I mean, because Florida
Crawfordsville
State had a
closer to
game in
Valdosta.
town. Well, but you know, it is what you know.
But
it's
Crawfordville is
homecoming week.
south.
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
Crawfordville is east.
yeah, it's
How
south.
far is that from Valdosta to Tallahassee? An hour?
About hour
hour and a half, 90 minutes.
hour 15-ish.
So we're gonna have an escort, so probably maybe an hour.
Oh yeah, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You won't even know it. You won't.
Well,
you know,
I was
you'll be
able
there.
to get, you know, and I remember we talked about this before. Now I had booked a room for $500 a night back in January when we were there in basketball. That's how much hotel rooms were in January. I called my travel agent because I'm flying into Tallahassee when, you know, the Braves open up against Florida State in basketball. So I'm flying into Tallahassee in November. And I asked, I said, look, I got this room for $500 a night. I'd like to do a little better. Can you look it up for me? She looked it up, and there was a room, a place. Now, I can't remember the name of the hotel. I don't think it's a dump, but I got it for a reasonable price for Friday and Saturday. Now, I just got lucky. I just said, what the heck? I just ask and see. Because, you know, travel agents sometimes can give you a little better deal. I got a really good deal. I canceled that other room the other day. So,
you should have sold that room, Charles. We didn't cancel it.
You could have made $200 off that room.
Exactly. You should have sold that room.
In the days of government accountability, if I sold that room, I would not.
I thought you had booked it.
The university is paying for it. If I sold that room, I would be talking to you from behind bars right now. So I had to cancel it. But man, I didn't realize that, and I can say this now that we're close. I didn't realize all the rooms were booked up in January. And I told our folks, I said, look, if y'all don't get on this, either you ain't gonna get a room or you're gonna be staying 2 or 3 hours out. I don't know what you're gonna do. But I told folks in January, get ready, start thinking about that. I don't know if our fans are doing it. Some are probably not coming, but some are staying pretty far out, Crestview, Florida, and some other places. So I you know, they're on their own on that. But I warned them.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not user friendly. Put it like that. It just unfortunately thing about Tallahassee and.
What if Florida State was at home? What if Florida State was at home this weekend, as well as FAMU?
It has happened before, y'all.
It is
how
happening.
crazy is that? How crazy is it down there when that happens?
Look, it's just life. When you got two colleges that draw a lot of people to them, I mean, that's when the hotel industry makes their money.
I got 2 words. I got 3 words. Airbnb.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Best thing to do. Best thing to do.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right, Charles. Hey, safe travels. We again want to remind everybody you can listen to Charles's conversations with head coach Cedric Thomas. If you miss it live on Monday nights when he does it on the on Facebook, the 91.7 FM Facebook page. You can always catch it on the BCSN Pod Zone. We usually have those shows up by sometime either Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. We have it available, so you can always catch up and listen in.
Is the game a sellout, Brian? Because I was asking you about it. The game's a sellout on Saturday?
That's what I was told. That sold now. I don't know if a lot of people. You have to check the resale market. The resale markets there might be a lot of tickets
a sellout, but it might not be a sold out attendance.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the tickets supposedly sold out, but there may be a lot of tickets available online, given the way things have gone.
Okay.
And And Charles Bryan, make sure y'all let Travis know. Ain't nobody paying attention to him in the chat.
Yes, I do know November 1, there is a Florida State game going on the same time when Jackson State comes. We just hope. Well, look, the thing right now is we don't know the game time of the Florida State game. The Jackson State FAMU game is scheduled for 7. I hope that they don't schedule that as a late. My guess is it'll be probably given away that Florida State's playing. It'll probably be a noon kickoff. Noon or a 1 o'clock kickoff, and so there won't be any traffic. But that's another game. Who knows what the crowd will be like? Might be sparse. Like a lot of students didn't come to the game against North Carolina Central.
In there.
Yeah. So I don't know. They may not come down because they coming off the Vegas trip. So
no, they ain't coming.
They
They're gonna be too broke.
Exactly.
Brian, it depends on what the one-on bandits do.
Well, if I'm going to spend my money between Vegas and Tallahassee, I'm going to Vegas and spending my money. That's just if it were me, that I'm just saying, I can't speak for Jackson State folks, but that's just me. So, all right, Charles.
That's crazy.
Hey, man, safe travels. We'll talk later in the week.
Appreciate it. I'll see you down in Tally.
All right.
Yes, indeed. We'll be back right after these words. You're watching the BCSN Sports Wrap right here on the Black College Sports Network.
Football fans, the Cricket Celebration Bowl is celebrating 10 years of crowning an HBCU national champion. A champion will rise at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on December 13th as the MEAC and SWAC champions clash in Atlanta. Join us for championship football, interactive fan experiences, and iconic marching bands. It's an HBCU family reunion that you don't want to miss. See who will be crowned the next HBCU national champion. For event and ticket information, visit thecelebrationbowl.com.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU story with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU.
With over 25 years of serving our communities, Destiny Financial Services, a division of Global Life, is here to help you and your family through difficult times. From cancer care to accidental industries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life, but you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call DFS at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com. That is 877-300-8269, or again, the website at www.globelifeinsurance.com.
ESPN Events presents Red Lobster Band of the Year, a title reserved for elite HBCU marching bands. A season-long competition that culminates in Atlanta on Friday, December 12th. Drum majors, percussion, drill, auxiliaries, musicality. All aspects will be examined by the toughest judges in the world of college bands. 4 will qualify for the big stage, where national champions will be crowned. Follow us on social media for rankings updates throughout the season. And join us in Atlanta on December 12th. For event and ticket information, visit bandoftheyear.com.
All right, welcome back to the BCSN Sports Wrap. A.D. Drew, Brian Fulford here. Drew, we've been heavy SWAC in the first hour. I think we need to just kind of run through and maybe give some quick thoughts about some of the other games before we kind of put a bow on the weekend. Over in the MEAC, let me pull up the MEAC numbers. Jesus, where are they? All right. Obviously, North Carolina Central with a dominating 45-7 victory over FAMU. Drew, I have seen two of the three best teams in HBCU football in consecutive weekends, and they look every bit the part. So I don't, it's kind of funny. I don't know how teams are even I don't know how voters decide 2 versus 3 and, 3 versus 2. But I will tell you, North Carolina Central looks the part. Very complete. Walker Harris, very good quarterback. Has some dynamic receivers. Good, good running game. They're going to be very interesting to watch here going into conference play. And the great thing about Central, they came off a bye in which they had 3 games prior to the bye. They scored 49 points or plus, 49 points or more in the 3 previous games. Then they scored 45 against FAMU. Now they go into a bye, and they get Delaware State. Delaware State, who got a 70-23 win over Southern Connecticut State. That's a Division II school. The stat of the year, 2. Drew, 36 carries, 600. Hold on. What was the number?
Almost 700.
Almost 700. They had 3 players score over or rush for over 100 yards. I was looking at the box score this morning. I know we didn't really talk about it, but one young man, James Jones, 3 carries, 158 yards, including a 90-yard touchdown run.
Talk about breakaway speed.
Hey, his average yards per carry, 52.7.
That's more than some people had all game.
Thank you. 52.7. Just ridiculous, man. What was the total? Yeah, 36 carries, 608 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And yes, they play Delaware State on a collision course right out the box. Conference play in 2 weeks in the MEAC, and they start with North Carolina Central. Wow, what an amazing game that's going to be.
Would that game for the MEAC be like the Texas Southern Prairie View game potentially is in the SWAC West?
Explain. I don't follow what you mean.
I mean, the Texas Southern Prairie View 1-2 in the SWAC West. Opening game of the season. Opening game of conference play. Would that game potentially have the same effect, especially considering what we thought? Yes, we know we just saw the game of the decade, Brian, but what we thought the game of the year, Central and South Carolina State, with South Carolina State currently not quite living up to their half of the expectation, Brian. Could that be the game that actually determines the MEAC right out the gate? Could that be the FAMU Jackson State of this year? FAMU Jackson State 21 of this year?
It could be. It could. I mean, in all honestly, I think Delaware State has played. That's what's interesting about the MEAC. The MEAC, you get a look at these teams play for about 5. You get to look at them for 6 to 7 weeks before they even start conference play. And to me, Delaware State is the second best looking team.
That's why I asked that question.
Yeah, all respect to South Carolina State, and I know they're gonna be competitive. So I don't mean to shade them, but the team that has, and I'm just talking from a production viewpoint.
Eye test.
It's Del State. Del State is the second best team by the eye test in the MEAC. Now, they got to play it on the field, but that's the team that I'm kind of intrigued by. But you know, the school, look, just every time that I get ready to think about Howard, they lay an egg. They laid another egg, losing to Sacred Heart. They had a lead.
Sacred Heart might be the second best team in the MEAC right now.
That second best team in the MEAC because I think Sacred Heart has
They're
beat
3-0.
They beat Delaware State. I think they beat Howard. Who else did they beat? Did they beat Norfolk State?
It was either Norfolk or Morgan. One of the two.
Yes. They beaten half the MEAC. So yeah. Sacred Heart. Yeah, watch out. I think they're like 5-1, something like that. Morgan State, boy, I tell you, Morgan State, what a season. They played more Division II, non-Division I teams than I can shake a stick at, but it is what it is. And they got to win 44-6 over VA Lynchburg. Wofford beat Norfolk State 31-14. No real surprises. Norfolk State, they are what they are, right? And then South Carolina State went to GHO, and they got another one. I can't say they stole it, because I think they've been beating up on North Carolina A&T.
Yeah, but did you see that North Carolina A&T had the lead in that game for a long period of time?
No, I didn't. They did. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I believe they had the lead at halftime.
Okay. Well, slow improvements. Look, hey, now I know why A&T fans are so enthused, because they're seeing slow improvements. It's going, and that's what it's going to take, right? It's going to have to be slow and steady. The only MEAC team that has a game upcoming this week is Howard. They're playing at Tennessee State's homecoming, but everybody else in the MEAC is off, and then they start conference play. The final 5 weeks are all MEAC versus MEAC.
Sneaker shop talk.
That's going to be.
How many people will be in Nissan for this Howard game?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm gonna set the number at 7,500, Drew. It may seem low, but I think 8,000 is their high. I think when they played whoever it was, that last HBCU school that they played. Yeah. All right. Let's jump over to Division II, because we got to show the folks in your conference, Drew, some love. The SIAC. And how about the Benedict Tigers? Still unbeaten. Can we give Ron Dickerson some mid-season Coach of the Year love, Drew? Ron Dickerson, Benedict.
And when you're giving them that
overall,
love,
5-0 in conference play.
when you're giving them that love, can you give them an offense? Because unless the defense scores 2 to 3 times a game, you know, their offense is not one of the best in the conference. The defense is definitely number one, but their offense, they're allowing average at best.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Look, they got Drew average in a 13-team league. They're the 4th best offense, averaging 29.3 a game. Defensively, they're allowing 13.8, which is number 1, just above Albany State, which is allowing 14.7.
Brian, look into that offensive stat and look at points scored and look at how many defensive touchdowns they have and subtract those out.
Okay, wait a minute. You want me to do what now?
No, you don't have to do it like right here live on the set.
Oh, okay.
But when you look at that stat, points scored, make sure you subtract out the defensive touchdowns.
Okay.
Like
I don't even know
your
how
fumble
you do
sixes
that,
and your pick sixes and stuff like that. Make
So
sure
I
you
got what
subtract
you're
those out.
I got what you're saying. In terms of the standings in the let me see. Let me go to the other SIAC
And your special
recap.
teams points. Thank you, Sly. Subtract
okay.
out your special teams points too, because they do have a couple punt and kickoff returns for touchdowns this year.
Okay. But, you know, you guys can keep talking about Benedict's offense not being good, but Benedict might be a complete team because other units are finding ways to score, right? Offense, defense, special teams. It's a complete ball game. It's a complete ball team.
I think that works against every team in the conference potentially, except for Albany State.
Okay. All right.
Here you go, Brian.
What's that? BC's defense scored 8 touchdowns. Special teams have scored 5. So, so this is what. So on the stats, then the stats say on the SIC website that they have scored a total of 23. So what's that? 8 plus 5 is what? 13?
Yes.
So 10 offensive touchdowns, 8 defensive touchdowns, 5 special teams.
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all. That's a complete ball club, y'all. Come on now. Can we just give them some love from that perspective? That's complete. That's a complete ball team. Come on now. Show them some love. Let me see. Morehouse. Well, hold on. Okay, I was just going to scan down here. Morehouse 31-26. You want to add anything to that, Drew? 31-26 victory. You mentioned it earlier. 2 wins in a row.
First time since 2021.
Whew.
That Morehouse has a winning streak.
There you go. All right. Who's next? Homecoming.
Oh, you're talking about for Morehouse. Homecoming against Lane.
Morehouse. Lane. Okay. Albany State with a 32-7 win over Clark Atlanta. Remember when we might have hyped that up and thought that was a major game to see? Still no Isaiah Knowles for the second week in a row for
that would be
Albany
that's the
State.
Equalizer.
The fact that he's not there, or that they're still winning by the margins that they are.
Well, he's not there, but you can beat some of these teams. I do not see Albany State beating the likes of a Benedict without an Isaiah Knowles.
Kentucky State 42-14. That might be
the
biggest.
Slide. Stop.
Hold on. What'd he say? Because I was looking at something. Morehouse number 1 in the SIC of what? Number 1 what? He's being messy. Is he being messy? Slide. 42-14 at Kentucky State on homecoming. Defeated Edward Waters, who many people had Ed Waters ranked like 2 or 3 in their rankings.
But did I tell you a bus trip from Jacksonville, Florida to Frankfort, Kentucky will do that to you?
Was it a bus trip?
Oh, of course.
Yikes. Yeah, that'll do it.
13, 14 hours.
That'll do it. Let me see. Miles gets a win, 23-13 over Lane's battle of winless teams. It is what it is.
Somebody had to win, Bo.
Somebody had to win. Allen University, right when Allen was kind of looking like, you're thinking Allen, they lose to Savannah State 23-20. Looks like it was a good ball game. Came down to the wire in that contest. Savannah State gets a win. When we look at the standings over in the SIC, Drew, you brought this up during the show this morning. Benedict is 5-0 in conference play. Unbeaten. Albany State 4-0 conference play.
I was wrong about one thing. They do face each other.
Oh, okay. But
yes.
Is there a but to that?
No. I thought this morning they do not face each other, but they do face each other, and I'll tell you when in just a moment. But keep going.
It's coming up next weekend.
Is it next
weekend?
Columbia?
Next weekend. It's October 25th in Columbia.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the game's on ESPN Plus.
Yeah, October 25th. So that's going to be a big night. Kentucky State is sitting at 5-1. Now, again, is that right? 5-1 in conference play?
Yes.
That means what's left for them.
The only team they have lost to is Albany State. And then, of course, they lost to Grambling non-conference.
Right, and they're playing a game in Puerto Rico this upcoming weekend against some school named Franklin Pierce, and then they come back after a bye week and finish off against Clark and Lane. Clark is at home, and then they play Lane. I mean, so look, it's
tie break. Here's the thing. What's going to be the
tiebreaker?
tie break between Benedict and Kentucky State? Should both these teams should Benedict lose to Albany State?
Do you guys
Because
do
both of those
a
teams would
margin
have
against
lost
an
to
opponent?
Albany State. Say it again.
Do you guys do margin against an opponent?
I think it goes to record against the next best team. Both teams would have lost to Albany State should that happen. Should Benedict lose to Albany State, but so it will be who beat the next highest finisher in the standings.
All right. Well,
And you have to look
right now. It's Edward Waters.
Both teams do play Edward Waters, so right now Edward Waters would be the next level on that tie break. Now, let's really get Miakish in here, Brian.
Oh,
let's say Benedict beats Albany State, but then loses somewhere else to an Edward Waters down the line.
Yeah. Well, the only other conference game after the Albany State game. Well, they got Edward Waters this weekend, Albany State, and then Savannah State. So Benedict can't get caught looking ahead. That's the biggest problem. Yeah. This is, you got to play Edward Waters for what they are. You can't be looking ahead at Albany State, because if you lose to Edward Waters, you just kind of messed up a lot of stuff for yourself, right?
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, jump over to the CIAA. Fayetteville State 35-7 over Livingstone. That's 4 consecutive wins for Fayetteville State after starting the season 0-3, and all of those are conference games. Virginia Union 31-13 over Elizabeth City State. Shaw beat Winston-Salem 27-24. Stephen and other WSSU Rams Nation, they're calling for a new coach. They want a new coach in Winston-Salem. Bowie State beat Lincoln 42-14. Lincoln, PA, 42-14. There are only 2 unbeatens.
I was gonna say Lincoln Mo, since you're talking about Lincoln's, after their 2-0 start, is now 2-0 forever.
Wow. The only 2 unbeatens left in the CIAA: Fayetteville State 4-0, Virginia Union 3-0. Both of them are on 4-game winning streaks. Johnson C. We haven't talked about Johnson C. Smith lately. They're sitting at 2-1
in third place.
And yeah, their upcoming schedule. They're at Shaw. They were on a bye week, so the last 4 games of the season, 2 road, 2 home. They're at Shaw, home against Winston-Salem, at Fayetteville, home against Livingstone. It's not an easy. That's not an easy schedule down the road.
The Fayetteville game is going to be the key, Brian. Can they beat Fayetteville to force potential tiebreakers?
Yeah. Union down the stretch. They got Lincoln, PA. They got Bowie, Bluefield. Shout out to Bluefield State. 2 wins in a row. I didn't mention that. 2 in a row. And then Virginia Union, of course, ends the season against Virginia State. Yeah. Real quick, homecoming schedules. Another big group of homecomings this upcoming week. Some of the notable games this week. Tuskegee traveling to Albany State. Clark traveling to Miles. Alcorn at FAMU. Prairie View at Southern. Howard at Tennessee State.
All right. Can you go back to the homecoming schedule?
Right there.
Okay. Miles, Valley. Who was that before Morehouse? Is that Shaw?
Shaw.
Shaw looks like Fayetteville.
Southern, Texas Southern, Virginia Union.
Is that Allen or West Virginia State?
I can't really tell.
Anyway, the graphic.
I didn't make the graphic.
I know the graphic at the top says homecoming, not homegoing, for those playing on October 18th. Let's put the guns away, y'all. Homecoming, not home going. Let's move on, Brian.
That's deep, Drew. All right. Blue Jacket said, can the SIC and CIAA get 2 teams in the D2 playoffs, Drew?
SIC has a good chance. Should Benedict and Albany State meet in the SIC championship game, they'll probably get both of those teams in. The question is, with the Gulf South down to 4 teams, can the SIC actually get a 3rd team in?
And again, this is the first year, correct, that the CIAA is actually in the Eastern region, correct?
Yeah, they're in there with the Mountain East, and I want to say the PSAC.
Okay. So
Union gets to the championship game. They're probably a lock. The question is, will the South winner be able to get in and get a 2nd spot? Especially if Union wins, and we know they're in.
When did the regional rankings start?
Usually week 8. Week 8, week 9, somewhere up in there. I think week 9 is when they put out just the alphabetical, and then 10 and 11 is where they actually show the ranking.
Okay. I gotta my data was all wrong for some reason when I was talking about the CIAA. I don't know where some of those numbers I gave out on those scores were all wrong. I'm just going back and looking at my notes here. Bluefield beat Lincoln, PA 30-27, 2 wins in a row in conference for Bluefield. It was Virginia State 28-21 over Bowie. Union did beat Elizabeth City State 37-18. Shaw did beat Winston-Salem 20-13, and Fayetteville beat Livingstone 38-14. So I apologize for giving out those incorrect scores on the CIAA. Upcoming this week in the CIAA, Livingstone traveling to Winston-Salem State for their homecoming. Could be bad news. You lose on homecoming. Could be bad news. Can Bluefield State get 3 wins in a row? They're at home hosting Bowie State.
Oh,
yeah. We already talked about Johnson C traveling to Shaw for their homecoming. Virginia Union hosting Lincoln, PA for homecoming, and Virginia State hosting Elizabeth City State. Over in the SIC, the schedule for this week. Already mentioned the fact that Kentucky State is playing in Puerto Rico against Franklin Pierce. Tuskegee travels to Albany.
Oh, that'll be
an interesting game. That game is on HBCU Go for those of you interested. It's a 1:00 kickoff. Clark at Miles, meh. Savannah State, Fort Valley State, meh. Benedict at Edward Waters is the game that I think second biggest game of the day. That's a 4:00 Eastern kickoff in Jacksonville. That'll be interesting. That's probably your game of the week in the SIC, I would think, Hunter.
Lane at Morehouse on ESPN Plus.
There you go. There you go. Good stuff. Blue Jacket said blowout for Albany State. Of course, as mentioned, Howard is the only MEAC school traveling. They're at Tennessee State. Tennessee State got beat like 23-12. Uh-oh. Oh, more janky promoters, according to Sly. Sly saying that the game that was supposed to be in Puerto Rico is now back at Kentucky State. All right, so breaking news. Thank you, Sly. Man, I'll tell you, man. These promoters. I know these guys are trying to make a living.
So that's 3 this year, Brian? Tampa.
3 that went bad or 3 that were?
Tampa, Atlanta, and Puerto Rico.
Yeah. The schedule in the SWAC. Virginia Lynchburg is at Texas Southern. That's a 2:00 Central. Lincoln, California, as best as we know, they're still in Mississippi. They're going to Mississippi Valley State, 2:00 Central. Grambling at UAPB. Ooh, big game for both teams.
Elimination game.
An elimination game. Could be a hot seat job game. 2:00 Central kickoff. Alcorn at FAMU for homecoming. 3:00 Central, 4 Eastern. Definitely a hot seat game. And then Prairie View at Southern, 4:00 Central, 5 Eastern. Another hot seat game, especially for Southern's coach. Man, it's hot. And then it gets hotter the next week. I'm not even going to talk about October 25th, but you thought this week is hot. It just gets hotter for all those teams and coaches next week. Oh, the angst in the buildings of these programs, Coach. We don't talk enough about the student athletes. I mean, so keep those kids in mind too. We talk about the coaches. The coaches if they get bought out, they still getting paid. But those kids are the ones out there on the field, and they still got to go to classes and all these other things that they have dealing in their life. So, man, while you guys are rushing to run coaches off, keep those kids in mind too. Keep those kids in mind.
Wait a minute. Hold up. Tweet
breaking
from
news.
KSU Thoroughbreds, KYSU Athletics. Sly just put it in our group chat. Due to field conditions and student-athlete safety concerns, Kentucky State versus Franklin Pierce have mutually agreed not to travel to Puerto Rico for the October 18th game. The matchup would now be played in Ringe, New Hampshire on Friday, October 17th at 7 p.m. And let's see. This is an official statement coming from Kentucky State. Due to field conditions, is the same thing. Making the first ever matchup between the two programs. Protecting our student athletes is always our first priority, said Director of Athletics Grant Stepp. While this is a disappointing outcome, it's the right decision. We appreciate everyone who worked to make this event possible and remain committed to creating unique experiences for our student athletes and fans. Additional details on ticket information for the game in Ringe will be announced this week.
So Franklin Pierce is.
And this came out at 4:02 today.
Franklin Pierce University. They are a Division II school. They play in the NE10 conference.
That's the Northeast 10.
Northeast 10. Currently, they are 3-3, 2-2 in their conference play. So, 7 o'clock kickoff. Normally, the games appear part of college. So, if you want to watch it. So Ridge, New Hampshire. So it should be a good one. Good opportunity here for Kentucky State to get out of conference. Might be the kind of game that propels them if a playoff opportunity because I think Kentucky State should be definitely thinking about playoff opportunities if they keep winning. All right. There's like 5. I think there might be 5. Yes, I think there might be 5. More than 5. You guys, come on, might be a little more than 5. All right. Well, it's been a minute, but guess what we have available? We've got the BCSN top 5 ready to debut. So again, we Black College Sports Network, we don't do preseason rankings. We let everyone else do those. We kind of wait for the action on the field to kind of play out before we actually debut our BCSN top 5 computer-based rankings. And so there's no voters because we know sometimes we are voters, so we know what it can be like for voters. But no, we let the computers tell us. And we have a great algorithm. Your computer rankings from other services are factored in. Your performance against teams within divisions, above or below, home games, away games, neutral site games. Even a slight margin is considered. Your win margin and your loss margin are also factored into this. So we punch in the numbers and let the computer tell us who the top 5 are. And so these will be updated weekly beginning this week. So Drew, we're going to start with the what we call the non-Division 1 or under D1 rankings.
Let's do this right way, Bryan. Let's give the ones who are not going to appear on this list, the last couple just outside the door.
All right, I'll let you pull up the graphics here. Who's not going to appear on the rankings? I'll let you pull that up. So I don't know which one is which. So I'll let you pull them up.
All right. Oops. Turn my camera off. Wait a minute. Turn that off by mistake. All right. Let's start off with our in the hunt teams. And basically, we'll just do the top 10 today to make it easy for everybody. Number 10, Bryan, West Virginia State, 404.7 points. At number 9, Bryan, Virginia State, 420 points. At number 8, Winston-Salem, 441.0 points. Here's where it starts getting interesting, Bryan. Number 6, Johnson C. Smith, 503.9. And at number 6, Fayetteville State, 513.1. Anybody on that list surprise you thus far?
Hold on, let me repeat this because I think you said a number. Let me repeat it because I think you said a number twice. So number 10 is West Virginia State.
Yes.
Number 9 is Virginia State.
Yes.
Number 8 is Winston-Salem State.
Yes.
Number 7 is Johnson C. Smith.
Yes.
And number 6 is Fayetteville State.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
Wow.
You ready?
Ooh, okay.
And we go give
I will say the only team I'm surprised is not in the top 5. Well, I'm definitely surprised that Johnson C. and Fayetteville are not in the top 5, but okay.
So let's see who are in the top 5 and do the time. We're going to give you all of them, Bryan. Ready?
All right. Here we go. Go ahead.
Number 5, Edward Waters, 515.0. Number 4, Kentucky State, 548.1. Number 3, Albany State, 721.9. Number 2, Benedict, 743.3. And at number 1, Virginia Union, 754.4.
So clearly, based on the metrics, there is a separation between the top 3 teams and everybody else right now.
Correct.
I mean, there's over 100-point difference after Albany State. Okay. I see that. That's interesting. And again, off just standings alone. Standings alone. Now, we're not part of what you got to remember. Virginia Union has an overall record of 5-1, right? And I know people may say, "Well, Fayetteville State is 4-0 in conference play." Yeah, but they're 4-3 overall. Johnson C. Smith. Now, that's the one that surprises me, Drew, because overall, Johnson C. Smith is 5-1. And who did that one loss come to? Wasn't it Union?
Yes.
So your one loss came to Union. You did get a win against Valdosta State, but is it because, let's see, the other wins were Morehouse, Elizabeth City State, Bluefield State,
and that's why
Virginia State.
That's
like,
why
the quality of the wins, huh?
Yes, the quality of the wins.
Let me see. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 4 SIAC schools at 2, 3, 4, and 5. And 6 is no. 7 is so among the top 7. Yeah, 5 of the top 7 are SIAC schools. Wow. Okay. Well, the numbers will change over the course of the season. We know they will. So this is a good first. This is the first start. All right. Let's good stuff. Let's I don't think too many people disagree. Oh well, see, there you go. Valdosta's win against Johnson C's victory over Valdosta is not even looking good. That's rare. Rare that you say that. Where did you see that? I guess is the thing. Right. But okay, good stuff. All right, let's move over to the Division I side of things. Let's take a look at what the Division I side looks like. Who's let me write this down here. This is who is in the hunt from 10 to 6.
We'll start off with our in the hunts. How about Grambling State? 320.1. Howard, 336.0. Bethune-Cookman, 344.5. Alabama A&M, 420.3. And Prairie View A&M, 463.7. I think I know where the is going to come from with that one.
Yeah, Prairie View not being in the top 5 is kind of interesting. Very interesting. So if they're sitting outside of the top 5, I'm interested to see who's sitting at 5 and 4, honestly.
All right. Let me know when you're ready.
Let's go. Let's see what the first top 5 looks like.
Why is Grambling in the hunt, Edwin? By default, because I went 10. That's the only reason why.
Well, hold on.
You got to put somebody at number 10.
Edwin, they're 3-3. I mean, look, they give them credit. They're 500. I mean, they're 3-3. They are what they are right now. They're the middle of the road average team.
Yeah. All right.
I don't know if they're 10. The scary part, Drew, I don't know if they're 10 better teams. That's how bad it is right now. I don't know if they're 10 better teams.
Yeah. You ready?
Got it. Let's go.
Here we go. Number 5, Texas Southern, 482.0. Number 4, Delaware State, 488.7. Number 3, Alabama State, 539.1. Number 2, North Carolina Central, 548.7. And yes, Jackson State, the metrics work because you are sitting at the number 1 spot with 603.9 points.
What do you think? You think there were some people who were nervous about Jackson State not being number 1 in our rankings?
No, I was nervous when I ran the numbers. I just wanted to make sure that I won't say make sure, but it's nice to know that the numbers work because everybody clearly thinks Jackson State is the number 1 team, except for the haters. Yeah. And the metrics actually back it up.
Exactly. The computer metrics back it up. That's good to know, man. Jesus. top three teams are the top three teams. It is interesting to see. Look at the difference between 2 and 3. It's not much. I was telling somebody else that this morning. I don't think there is much of a difference between Alabama State and North Carolina Central. I think both of them are 2 of the top 3 teams.
Yeah.
The respect that Delaware State has gotten, and I am so excited to see what their game. I mean, this is a big time matchup for them against North Carolina Central in 2 weeks. Yeah, big time. And I wonder how much different the polls would be had Texas Southern not been able to get. Think about this, Drew. Texas Southern, a last-second win over Prairie View. No, excuse me, a last-second loss to Prairie View. A 1-point win over Grambling. And who was it they snatched a victory from late? Was
UAPB.
it UAPB? I mean, pretty impressive for Texas Southern, finding ways to win.
Stop it, Sly. Stop it.
All right, how many SWAC schools have they beaten? 2?
2.
But you know what, Sly, they haven't beaten 2 of the good SWAC teams. At this point, they've beaten 2
The
of,
two
the,
bottom
of the
feeders.
bottom 6 or bottom third. If you want to say the bottom third, bottom 6, however you want to say it, they've beaten those 2 teams, 2 of those teams.
So, there we have
The
it.
team that
Bryan.
I'm looking to see will rise, Drew. I'm intrigued to see what happens with Bethune, A&M, and Prairie View. I'm interested to see how, like, I think there's going to be some fluidity between 4 and 8.
Yeah.
Over the next couple of weeks.
And I'm gonna throw this out. Given next week's schedule, a Prairie View win should replace Texas Southern because Texas Southern is playing VUL.
Yeah.
Just knowing how the metrics work.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. No, you know what? It was Valley. We were talking about who Texas Southern snatched a victory from.
Oh, it's Valley.
Valley.
Okay.
Yeah, they blew out UAPB 51-7. And they took a they
Good.
I was just gonna say.
Finish up, Bryan.
Go ahead. Well, go ahead. Go ahead. What you were saying. Go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing about this. When you look at these schedules and these top 5s, everybody on here has played a D2, and everybody has played a FBS in this top 5. You're on mute.
And there's no so you can't. And they've all lost to. So what you're saying is they've all lost to the FBS and they've all beaten the D2.
D2. Just Delaware State has beaten 2 of them, but
well, yeah. All right. The PV has not played in D2.
Thanks for that correction.
Well, but Prairie View's not in the top 5.
Exactly.
What does that tell you? Who are those FCS schools that they're playing?
A W is a W. You need that W against that D2 to watch out that loss that you're gonna take against that FBS.
Yeah. For sure. Okay. Well, next week's show, I'm gonna be honest, Drew. I don't know how I'm gonna do next week's show because it's coming back from homecoming and I'm not driving myself. And the folks that I'm riding with are already talking about staying late in Tallahassee. And I'm just like, Lord have mercy. So I don't know if I'm going to be available for next Sunday's show. So we may have to, I don't know if we find a replacement for me or even if we even do it. And you got homecoming. So who knows what next week's show will look like, folks, to be honest with you, if we even do it. But stay tuned. Maybe, I don't know, Drew. I don't know. We'll have to talk about this over the course of the week or just think about how we're going to produce and do a show. given everything. So,
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Got to thank Charles Edmond for choosing to come on with us and chop it up. Of course, Charles and I will be in Tallahassee this upcoming weekend for FAMU's homecoming against Alcorn State. Drew and the Morehouse Maroon Tigers looking to keep in the winning streak going. See if they can make it 3 in a row at home, homecoming in the A. Blue Jacket says do it Monday.
It can't. That's a Rattler Roundup.
Yeah, that's a little tough. I not saying I can't do 2 shows in a day, but it's a grind.
It is.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure it out. We got time to think on it. Who knows? Maybe travel plans will change. But yeah. But anyway, stay locked in with the Black College Sports Network. Go download the BCSN Pod Zone everywhere that you listen to podcast, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google Podcast, all of those places. Please download, subscribe, rate, and review on all of those platforms. And yeah, that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you for everybody for watching. Thank you for being a part of the chat rooms, all of the great shows, and thank you for supporting the Black College Sports Network on all of our social media feeds, on Twitter, Instagram Live, Facebook, and on YouTube. So any final words, Drew?
Homecoming, not home going.
Well said. Be safe, everyone. Pray for those affected in Mississippi, and especially the family of the young lady who lost her life. And let's, as Drew said, let's pray that we have a good, peaceful celebration at the schools that are hosting homecomings this upcoming Saturday. And safe travels to everybody on the roads. And we'll talk to you again soon. For AD Drew, I'm Brian Fulford. God bless.
Stop it, Edwin.
You guys, peace out. All right. Let me find the out button. Where are you at?
That'll be the red button.
Oh, there it is. I see it. All right. Peace. Not that button to close the show.
The red button at the top. Then.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Peace.